Hello and welcome to ALTbrown podcast number 7. This week me and Pady talk with Deepa of the Good Cha podcast, just a collaboration. This version is off my end on my PC with Pady and Deepa on Skype. You can find her version of the recording on soundcloud.com/good-cha-podcast. Hope you enjoy.
I did, while I was driving back to my place, think of a very clever name for our particular co-hosted episode.
Oh, have at it.
We could call it 50 Shades of Brown.
50 Shades of Brown. All right.
Because we're all brown and we're all different shades of brown. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, we are. We're from very, very different diasporas, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, we are.
And I figured if this goes really cool, that we can do a couple and have on more people. Like just a brown party. Just a huge brown shaded party.
Oh, totally.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Just don't get into that paper bag type stuff, because that's always problematic.
Well,
it's all color bags.
So Pady is Western Indian, from what I recall.
Well, my parents we're South American jungle monkeys. My parents are from Guyana. Technically, Indo-Caribbean, I guess the diaspora is considered.
Sure.
Indo-Caribbean, West Indian. And geographically, we are from South America.
Do you get mad when people mix up Trinidad and Guyana?
No, it's the same thing to me. But Trinidad is technically Caribbean geographically.
Sure.
I have both family, but my immediate family is from Guyana, like my parents and stuff like that. It's just a little different in the dialects. It's like someone mixing up Jamaica. I mean, like, if I don't really know. I never really got offended about stuff like that, because that's a weird question in itself, because supposedly I look more like Tamil and Bengali, or I don't know, I guess depending on the shade of my face for the day.
Sure.
I could pass for a lot of different things. When I had bangs, I looked Dominican to people, so I really don't know.
Well, I didn't know if it was like a Dominican Puerto Rican thing where they get mad, or like a Pakistani Indian thing where people get mad if you call them the other one.
I'm pretty sure there's like nationalistic things like people get silly over, but I think it's silly.
Yeah, I don't mind at all, because my both sides of my family crossed over after the partition, so
sure.
We're technically Indian and Pakistani at the same time.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I get really funny, especially now that I'm older, when people are like, "Oh, you're Punjabi? What kind of Punjabi are you?" I'm like, we're legit all the same, pretty much.
Yeah. The only differences are the borders.
Mm-hmm.
And
like Pakistani Punjabi sounds a lot nicer.
Yeah, Pakistani Punjabi or Indian.
It sounds prettier.
Yeah, because it's alliterative and all that.
Mm-hmm. And then also because like all the gap words are filled with Urdu.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it's just certain things are just softer and smoother and more poetic, and even when somebody's cursing at you, it sounds like they're kissing you softly on your forehead.
Like what kind of curses that would kiss you softly on your forehead?
My Urdu is not like detailed enough, or like my Urdu is not high level enough, but even if somebody is like, sometimes it's also in the pronunciation, like when even if you hear two Punjabi people speak the same sentence, if they're from different areas, how they like intonate and how they hit certain consonants, it just, Pakistani Punjabi, even that way, just sounds more gentle. So even if somebody's calling you a bastard, it just, bastard. Oh.
I found that the most eloquent curse words usually derive from Farsi, like the haram
Oh, yeah. Yes. Because if you said that nicely, nobody would know what you're, oh, he's such a haramzada.
It sounds like a food. Like when I first heard it, I was like, is that some kind of type of biryani? Like it sounds like a rice dish.
Oh, yeah, I guess I can see that. With like rose petals on top, and
or maybe like a rosemary flavoring aftertaste or something.
Sure.
Right?
I'm sure a more southern type would say haram jada. And that sounds like a dish.
No, that sounds like something like a jalebi to me. Like, sweets has like the ja sound, like gulab jamun, like jalebi.
Sure. And Sharky, where's your, you said your family's from both sides. Where are they now?
My parents are here in Maryland with me. I think father's side has some family in Lucknow, and the rest of them are in Pakistan, mostly Islamabad and Lahore.
Nice.
And then there's a few other clans in Canada and Houston.
Oh, that's fun.
Right. Yeah.
Where are they in Canada?
Ottawa, and then again Houston.
Not braving the Yukon, just chilling in Ottawa.
Yeah, just chilling in Ottawa.
No fur trapping.
No, not really. No trapping. That would be kind of fun though, but I don't think they're up to it.
Yeah, I think Toronto, most of the folk, I know there's a lot of truck drivers. I have family there one of my families used to be in the mounted police. One of my relatives used to be in mounted police. Which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
But, sorry, I keep coughing in your ear.
Yeah, that's alright. I'm kind of hoarse as it is. I had the coffee, so...
So tell me about your podcast. Like, how has it been going? Because, I know you had it for a while, but I only recently started listening to... I recently listened to 3 of them. So I definitely heard from, beginning to end the Seek Knowledge one, because I adore him. And because he can meld both of our cultures very well together in music.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few people that I've actually had... I've never met him in person, but he's, one of the few people that I'm like, yeah, I totally get that. Why don't you understand that Bollywood and reggae go together? Because,
absolutely.
West Indian people, which you are obviously aware because you grew up in, Jersey, Long, New York type of thing.
Yeah.
And, you seem very, knowledgeable in that. And, so I don't have to explain myself, which is great. But, knowing that he does all these remixes, and whether it be, even Apache Indian, he's of East Indian descent, and he... they do reggae and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and he's still going strong too. Which is amazing. And I wish he wouldn't really rock the locks so much.
Yeah, the locks were really weird.
I don't know what he looks like now, but I remember he was pulling it off when I was younger. I guess in his Chuck Day days, right? I don't really remember. I don't want to know what he looks like.
He's aged very well, but I feel weird when I see anybody who's not of African descent wearing dreadlocks.
But there's a lot of Indian people that have dreadlocks, especially the Agori tribes and things such. I've seen a lot of being West Indian. I've met even relatives who are super, super Indian looking. I mean, we're mixed, but if appearance-wise, we look super Indian and have dreadlocks. I have a cousin that looks Chinese, appearance-wise, and he has dreadlocks, and he has, the thickest West Indian accent ever.
Right, but that's still kind of, cultural. I mean, if I see a white person wearing dreadlocks, or a person who, that's not part of their culture organically, wearing dreadlocks, it just throws me off sometimes. No disrespect to them, because everybody can wear their hair however they want it. But sometimes it just throws me off a little bit. I'm like, I don't know how to handle that.
Is it the same thing when you see non-brown people wearing bindis and saris?
Yes.
Really?
For me, it is. But the thing is, it all depends. For me, it's more of a thing of how somebody carries it.
Oh.
So, I have white friends who have pulled off saris, and they look beautiful in them. But when somebody wears it, there's a difference when somebody wears it as another dress, or as opposed to where somebody's wearing it as a costume, and you can tell it's ill-fitting, it's not flattering to them, they just picked something out. And when people wear it like that, just as because it's exotic or because it's cool and weird, and that's when I get thrown off. Otherwise, if you can pull it off, good on you, do your thing.
Yeah, my big rule is if you're making up for a lack of personality, then it doesn't belong to you.
Yeah.
It's you have young guys with young guys that get a trilby or a fedora, or that Lincoln hat. It's you're not pulling it off. Don't do it.
No.
Yeah, or certain things just don't go together. Not the straight tikka that goes down the part, but with the 3-part tikka that goes on the hair. When I see women wearing that with a sweatshirt because they're just trying to be fashion-y, that's too much. If they're wearing that with the sari or with the silver kameez, then I get it. Then that goes together. But
so, I mean, we grew up in the same. I think we're about the same age group. So how did you feel when we were growing up and Gwen Stefani was wearing bridal makeup when she was dating Tony Connell during the whole No Doubt issue?
I didn't hate it because it didn't feel. I feel a little bit weirder when she goes super gung ho on the Harajuku thing, but with the bridal makeup, you know, she seemed naturally weird, and she kind of seemed like she did her own thing because, like, oh, that's pretty, so I'm putting that on. Not so much that I'm going to pretend I'm an Indian person. You know what I mean? So, like, there's, like, like Sharky said, if somebody's doing it to make up for lack of something, then it's always very apparent. If somebody's doing it because, like, oh, I think that thing is pretty, then, well, yeah, it's pretty. You should
I don't
wear
think
it.
I have an issue with clothing per se. I mean, like, I know there's a lot of religious, like, there's people that have religious, like, meanings behind certain type of religious garb. You know, like, I personally, I wouldn't wear another religion or any type of religions, like, you know, idol on my clothing. Like, I just think it's weird because I don't believe in it. So, like, why would I wear it? Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. But I don't really get offended if I see, like, a non-brown person wearing a sari because I'm not I don't know if I consider brown. Like, Daisy and we wear saris. Like, you know, we were like...
sure.
And when I was growing up, like, my aunts who, like, we consider them, like, quote-unquote Dougla, who are, like, but they're really more mixed. It's, like, black and Indian predominantly or whatever. But obviously we have, like, Portuguese and stuff like that. And they very visually look like black women, right? Beautiful black women.
Sure.
Wearing saris and, you know, are full-blown. My Uncle Eddie, who's a total... he looks like a total black man to me, is one of the most devout Hindus that I've ever met in my life, you know, and he wears a kurta and all that stuff, and he knows more kirtans and bhajans than me and my sister could probably put together. Like, I'm horrible at that kind of stuff, but I think that it's just dependent on who you are as a person. I don't think it's necessarily like, because we can all say, like, oh, it might annoy us to see like a person, like a, you know, a non-brown person wearing a sari, but you don't really know where that person's coming from. You know,
right.
You see that brown.
I mean, that you always have to get to know that person. Mm-hmm. I know plenty of Muslims who aren't Pakistani or Indian who might wear kurta, and because also, like, you know, in their if they attend a masjid where that is something that they feel comfortable in, like, then they wear it, and it's their thing. I also, as far as West Indian goes, or like Indo-Caribbean folks go, I feel like that's a whole other... I always felt a kinship with them. I've never been like, they're not Indian, so they're just their own thing. Like, I'm like, no, we're all family. We're all related.
You know, I actually went to high school with a few West Indian Desis, and it was a pretty interesting experience. You know, we had more in common than we had different, actually.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, once you just see, like, we pretty much, it's like we're just separated by seas and like a little bit more cultural influences from other, you know, ethnicities, but ultimately all peoples are the same. But getting back to that, like, I do get annoyed when I see, like, a person with, like, an Om tattoo or an, what's a Sikh Om? You know what I mean? Like,
like the Khanda or the Ikonkar.
Right. Well, but they don't know the meaning behind it. Like, they don't know what it is, but they got it tattooed on their body, and you're like, what is wrong with you? Oh, I saw it in yoga class or something, and I thought it was cool. Like,
well,
I mean...
As a Sikh person, but, you know, between us and whoever will eventually end up listening to this, I know a lot of Sikh people who have Khanda tattoos, and sometimes for me that doesn't really make sense either, even though they're Sikh, because that's like, you know, I know Muslim men are not supposed to wear gold. That's like having a golden pendant that, you know, has Bismillah, and I'm like, that for me it just doesn't make sense.
I even saw this one photo of this guy who had the Khanda, you know, etched into his hair. Like, it's like,
yeah, that's like that's like making a bacon Bismillah. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I get you want to rep where you're from or rep your people, but maybe that's not maybe get a t-shirt.
Yeah, you're not even supposed to cut your hair.
Or, you know, have other identifying factors, not necessarily.
I think we're pretty much repping.
Exactly. That's what, or...
I don't know about you folk. I'm pretty dark. I'm team dark skin, so I think it's very visual. Like, I walk out the door. I mean, it's just that the brownness that want to claim me. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think, but I think that I really don't care what people wear.
Sure.
I mean, once they're covered and they're not, like, sticking their stuff in my face, I don't really care.
Yeah, whatever.
But just, like, no, I mean, like, for, you know, like, for future stuff, if you think you want to get attached to something permanent, like, hey, dude, maybe you should research what it is. you know?
Yeah, I have a kind of rule about tattoos. Like, think about stuff you liked 10 years ago. Do you still like it? Then maybe it's a good idea.
What, like food? I love food. And
No,
cake.
like a band, like a favorite band. Because you know,
Silly.
I can't really get tattoos because my tastes change all the time. So if I get a tattoo, then it's like I don't think I'll like
Okay.
it.
Okay, so we're just gonna open up one set of can of worms, right? Because like, I love like a bunch. Like we all know this. I'm a total metalhead, right? But there's a lot of different musics that I listen to as well. But I would say my kinship would be metalheads, right? There's not as much as I love bands, and I've paid money to go see them, CDs, merch, whatever. I will never get a band tattoo on me because I am not part of the band. I never got that, and no offense to other people, and no offense to people who have band tattoos. That's cool. It's cool for you. I don't understand it. Like me personally, I'm not part of that band, and I don't get it. Like, why would I? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Well,
there's
with me,
more about me than just this band, and it's like when you like identify that much that you put it on your skin permanently.
I don't know,
And
but then again, I think
that's an indicator.
I think it's also like just me personally because I switch my mind about a lot of things too. I've been in bands and I still wouldn't get those bands tattooed on me.
well, that's like getting somebody's name tattooed on you. It's unless it's like your kid.
No.
You know, I like ink on other people. Like I can when I see pictures on Instagram or BuzzFeed of really quality tattoo work, I can respect it and admire it, and it looks beautiful. But for me, as a practical matter, I'm a lady that is going to have too many things stretching and contracting over the course of her life to ever decide to do anything. Even a dot, like I just wouldn't, because it's too permanent. And then God knows what it's going to... Forget about if I like that band or not 10 years from now. See if you're going to be able to read that band's name 10 years from now.
I think the rule I have, it's either get something that's totally generic or basically for the design's sake, or something that you care deeply about.
No, by all means. Like, I'm not knocking people with... I just want to clarify this. I'm not knocking people with band names or their children's names or, whatever. I'm not knocking it. I just don't personally understand... Like, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not beautiful to me.
Right.
I just don't understand it for myself. And because I know I have the attention span of a fruit fly. Right now, totally obsessed with Borderlands does not mean I'm going to get a Moxie tattoo on my ass. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, have you seen the people who get the tattoos on their eyeballs now?
Ouch.
But that's not a new thing. I guess it's now it's trending.
But they get like a thing. Like some people will just get their eye tattooed so it just looks all black or like all blue, and I just wonder what kind of jobs they have or what. Like, imagine your grandfather having that tattoo on their eyeball.
I think if I had a grandfather with tattoos, well, I did. But, I mean, like, on his eyes, I don't really know. I'm not judging that, but if you can get a job, I don't know about the whole job thing because I look completely normal and I still can't get a proper job. So maybe you can get a job with tattoos because I see, like, tons of doctors that are completely covered in tattoos and tons of people that have really good jobs and vice presidents of things and they have like sleeves and things like that. So I think like also our culture, like the job culture is changing. Like I have a tattoo on my wrist and I've never been told to cover it up or anything like that. And not even anything. Like if I've been on interviews that it was actually the conversation piece. Like, oh, that's a really pretty tattoo. How long have you had it? Oh, actually my mom paid for it. Oh, really? How old are you? Like, and then like we bond over that because it turns out there's a lot more people with tattoos in the employment, area and in really good positions. Like before, people talk about this constantly that people with tattoos are seen as, bad people and things like that. But I think
that's gotten loosened quite a bit. But I mean the face tattoos or the the eyeball tattoos or like those kinds of things where when you have the piercing, like the extreme ones. I think people have become a lot cooler about tattoos, but when somebody gets like that piercing in the middle of their cheek, that where you can like they put the gauge in and then you can see the inside of their mouth, like those kinds of things maybe still are limited to certain job sectors, like that maybe you have to own your own business,
right?
If you
or you
have
could work in
like
IT
that.
and not talk to like face to face.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, who knows? I mean, that person might actually have a really good job. And if you are in a really good position, you can employ me because I don't judge. And I'm not going to look.
Sure.
I did have an instructor that had tattoos and gauges on his earlobes.
What were they instructing?
It was a rifle class.
A what?
Rifle.
A rifle class?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It was in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. So as part of the curriculum, you had to do like phys ed. So basically, it was on demand, that rifle class, but I just happened to register for it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was me and an Iraqi. We were the only people of color there.
Amazing.
Are we allowed to say this on a podcast? I mean, brown people, freaking podcast, rifles.
Iraqis learning how to shoot rifles, Pakistanis learning how to shoot rifles.
How many times have we been flagged already?
I know. Did I tell you that one story? I remember we had this like donation. Muna had a donation fund, and so I donated, and I put her initials PKK. It's also the acronym for a Kurdish separatist group.
What?
So that got flagged. And
Oh my god!
That's amazing.
So I had to actually verify that my money was actually going to Prabjot and not the PKK.
Wait, so how did you have to verify this?
I sent them a message with a PDF of basically capping that Facebook discussion. Where
Whoa!
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm so intrigued about this because like I actually don't know someone personally that this has happened to. Like I hear about it. So how does this situation happen? Like, so you did it through PayPal or something, and then you get a message, like a flagged message or something, or a call or a summons?
PayPal had flagged it because
Someone showed up at your door.
Like it wasn't a subpoena or anything, but they just weren't gonna process the the payment unless I verified it to their liking, which was, it was just like a screen cap of the of Muna's post.
But wouldn't they know it was that person if like, because in PayPal you're sending it to another person's email address,
right?
Just like you do
the
for
person
eBay.
accepting it,
right?
Yeah, I think it was because of that initials that I used on the note.
Are you sure you're just not getting flagged because of your name?
I can't know that for sure, but I guess the
Pakistani name, the Kurdish separatist initials, all just kind of added up.
Oh man, that's scary. It is. It's scary. It's just scary in general, man. I think we can keep it. It's fine. I think.
Well, yeah, but you were cleared, so we were good.
Yeah, I think that
you were cleared and
educated that how it is hard being brown. It is a struggle every day being brown.
Well, no, if you I think that the second episode of my podcast, my guest kind of discussed the same thing where he was traveling and he's African American, he's Muslim, he happened to be traveling the same time frames where not great things happened. And so he got stopped. I mean, being a Muslim, he often gets stopped. But he got stopped and questioned, and he had to like legitimately show them that, no, I did not bomb this place. I was just traveling to this place as a backpacker, and I am not a terrorist or a bomber. Simply because he happened to be in the same country at the same time. Not anywhere near where the thing happened.
With a Muslim name? Does he have a Muslim? Oh, my God. Because he does not sound Muslim at all. Like, I listened to the podcast. This is the guy that agrees that Katrina Kaif is not a good dancer, because I am totally for that.
Correct.
Check plus. Check plus. Sorry.
She can't dance.
Yeah, the only
but that's a side
Katrina
Kaif
note I actually saw was Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. And I didn't see that for Katrina. I saw that for Kalki.
Okay, I guess.
I can't even name one movie she's in.
Kalki or Katrina?
Katrina. I can't. All I know is that I'm not saying she's a very pretty girl, but she can't dance. Poor thing.
No, like the thing is, when they have her do item songs, she is very fit. So they make sure that she's toned and tight. but her actual dancing, it just doesn't work. Like, it's so awkward and hurts my eyes, and it's not sexy. Like, there's no part of it.
So my dad, like, he loves old school Bollywood, but he'll watch the newer stuff for, like, you know, our family and stuff. And our family will sit together and we'll watch, like, the videos and stuff like that. So he calls Katrina Kaif table legs because he says she has no booty and nothing. She's like flat like a pancake and has 2 legs. And he goes,
"Thank you."
And he goes, every time when he sees Rani Mukherjee, he goes, "Oh, see, that's a lady." Like,
let me tell you something. When she was in that movie, Rani Mukherjee, I never dug her too much. Like, I was okay with her. I was kind of ambivalent. You know, I remember in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, I really hated her nails because they did a close up on her hands a couple of times, and it drove me insane. But in that movie, it was like, that was more of like, I mean, it was a big film, but it didn't do as well because it was an art house type film. It was a little weird, and she looked so amazing, and she wasn't super skinny there. She wasn't super toned, but you could see all her curves, and she like danced really beautifully. It was just like, she was really sexy in that movie. Like, that, in that movie, I was like, that's how they should show more women instead of just having them only be skinny and not be able to dance.
I think, like, because I grew up with a lot of, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys can vouch with this too, that you grew up with a lot of, like, what we call classic Bollywood and stuff. So you're so used to, like, Vijayanti Mala and, you know, even the newer one, you would say, like, Sri Devi, although it's not newer, but you know what I mean. You would see, like, well, whatever you want to consider the Dream Girls collections and stuff like that, that they know how to dance. They're not the skinniest women, and Indian women are, like, you know, women come in all shapes and sizes, but Indian women are predominantly more curvier, you know, usually. And, like, you see, like, they're not toned, and this is before, like, Pilates. So, like...
there was definitely a line, like, a point at which they became very focused, the men and the women, about focused on, like, showing that they're very toned. Look how much I work out. Like, even when you take Shah Rukh, there was Om Shanti Om, where he was just Shah Rukh, and he attained his Bollywood mythic status. And then there was post Om Shanti Om. It's like, oh, look, I have an 8-pack. Look how much I paid my trainer to help me get this really tight body. And men and women both did that. When you have, like, Madhuri from the 90s, she looked awesome, and she did not have a 6-pack. Like, she was not super tight, but she knew how to work everything she had, and that's where the focus was.
I think that could even say, even with the men, like, especially with the men too, like, Salman Khan was, like, I remember watching a movie in, like, the early 80s when I was a kid, like, he was, like, a pencil, and now he's, like, super juiced and, like, you know, huge, muscular, and he has his own, like, you know, his shirt can't ever stay on, ever, like his trademark. And
but now he's on pencil legs. He does the Indian guy thing where he works out just the upper body and not the lower body.
Amar Khan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Yeah, it's sad. Like, I don't know why you don't want to do both sides. You obviously have enough time to spend on working out. Just do both.
I'm just curious. Like, when you eat the roti, it doesn't spread. It just stays on the top. Like, it doesn't go down.
I guess. Oh, I don't know if the roids are localized to just the upper body.
Oh. I mean, that's all speculation. We're not confirming.
Listen, if you, I just don't think you could have done it without steroids. I am speculating, but I'm speculating pretty hard.
Gotcha. Khajini was
I
pretty
don't think you could have
stark.
done it without steroids. Sorry, say that again?
Khajini? That was pretty stark.
Oh, yeah. That I mean, they also have the time and money to spend on...
Was that really him, or was it a stunt double?
Oh, no, it was him.
Yeah, it was him.
Amir Khan and Gajni was him. It was very much him. He handled his business. That was the only thing I liked in Fake Memento.
In Fake Memento.
That was a terrible movie.
And the girl in the movie was very, very cool. I liked her. I thought she was pretty decent.
Amir Khan does some cool stuff. Amir Khan, like, you know, he did his traditional cliche Bollywood movies, and then after, I think, like, Lagan and post Lagan is when he just started doing, like, really interesting random movies, like stuff that actually you want to watch and you'll remember the movie. And except for Gajni, I just wasn't. They didn't need to redo Memento. There was no reason to. Everybody
there's no reason for them to redo a lot of movies, but they do. So, and that's the same thing with Hollywood. I mean, it's not only Bollywood; it's all movies, all over the time. Like, even like in American cinema, they redo movies that were amazing, or they have like series that shouldn't even be having like an 8th movie or a 10th movie or whatever, and they're constantly going, you know?
Yeah.
I will say though, my favorite Bollywood remake was Pyar Ka Saya, The Shadow of Love, which was a almost scene by scene remake of Ghost.
I've never seen that.
I do like those Shakespeare adaptations. I think Heather was the latest.
Those are really good. The latest was Hi There.
Yeah, Heather. Sorry.
Heather.
We should say it. Hi there.
Hi there, Heather. Hi there.
Heather.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I liked how dark it was, and they didn't try to make it something it wasn't. They didn't try to Bollywoodify it so much that it wasn't recognizable.
I don't know. Bollywood for me is pretty dark. I mean, they had like from like Mother India, like movies I grew up with are freaking dark as shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I remember there was I think it was a Rez Khan interviewed Nasiruddin Shah, and he said, there's the song dance item films, and there's the serious issue films.
Yeah, I like the serious ones. One of my favorite Hindi movies, not ironically, is Rodali, and it stars Dimple Kapadia, and it is the most depressing movie you will ever watch, but it is the acting in it is so brilliant. And she basically plays this Rajasthani woman who, no matter who's come into her life, the person either runs away, goes away, or dies. And she, like, if you are ever sad, watch this movie and you will totally appreciate how awesome your life is.
Or kill yourself.
Maybe. That's like 3% margin of error. But that movie, or there are a lot of, those, but in India they call them like the art house type movies. Those aren't the ones that like make a lot of money.
That's the ones I like.
Me too.
Yeah, those are ones that get a lot of awards internationally.
Right. They had I'm saying like so much. They had a movie called Astitva, which was a beautiful movie that starred Tabu, and I don't remember who else was in it. Manish Behl.
Haven't seen that.
It was just a very sweet. It's not a 3-hour movie, so it's a watchable length. It doesn't have an intermission. And it's very lady empowering, because this woman basically, she lives her life with her husband, and her husband has lived, quote unquote, the stereotypical life of an Indian man. Yeah, he comes home to his wife, but he kind of plays around sometimes, does whatever he wants, and then still has certain expectations of his wife. And, you find out in the movie that she has been unfaithful the one time, and once he finds out about it, he's like ready to leave her, he's ready to cast her off, and their son is calling her a whore, and she's just sitting there, and just the way she stands up for herself and kind of puts everything in perspective. You watch this movie, and it's not a man-hating movie, but it is definitely a movie where it really puts things in perspective in terms of double standards that you often see, not just in life, but in Hindi movies quite a bit. So if you haven't seen that one, I would definitely recommend it.
When I was little, I have a confession to make. When I was little, and you probably find this hysterical. When people would ask me what my favorite, like, Bollywood movie was, I would say Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And no, but I really meant it. I was like, oh my god, because he's like the evil man. Like, we grew up knowing, him as I'm sorry, I can never say his name properly.
Amrish Puri.
Yeah, Amrish Puri as the evil man. He was always so good at being bad,
Mm-hmm.
And it was like my favorite movie ever. And like being like one of the few only brown kids in like my elementary school and stuff, they'd be like, because they would confuse the kind of Indian. So like when they would pick on you, I'd be like, Kalimash Shakti Dev, and like everyone runs out. And it really saved my life. I think
That's
it
awesome.
saved my life a lot of I think it just kept me, I don't know. I think that when I see that movie, it just brings back a lot, and I love it. And Amrish Puri, although he's dead, I think that he doesn't even know how much he's impacted my life.
Yeah,
I think you should write a letter.
When I was younger, I always had to kind of live down that whole monkey brains thing. And then,
I lived it. I played it up. I was like, we totally did.
Do you eat monkey brains for dessert?
No, but what happened is we went to a Pakistani restaurant, and they had bramis on the menu, and I'm like, holy crap,
no.
is there some truth to this?
Oh, was it really monkey brains?
No,
or
it was
just
sheep brain.
like...
It was sheep brain.
Oh, I mean, haven't you guys eaten like offals or something? Not brains, but like
No,
something weird.
I can't.
No, but there's dishes.
Oh, there's dishes, but I can't. I've tried. I've given liver a chance. And people in my family eat kidneys and liver and brains and all that stuff. I just
gizzards and
gizzards.
Yeah, I don't remember liking brain too much. I do like liver, though. So,
I tried it. I can't get past the metallic aftertaste. That's something that I've had it where I know that it's been cooked well and properly, and maybe the masalas and everything are just right, but the actual thing, I just can't get past the metal taste.
Yeah,
there's this thing that my dad makes.
That kind of mineral taste in goat. That's why I kind of don't like it.
Gotcha.
There's this thing that my dad makes, and it's made with like lamb offals. We call it pachoni, right? So it's like I think it's sheep. Well, it's one of them. Their intestine, liver, and heart, and he soaks it, like he cleans it very well, and he like dry masalas it, like it's a dry masala rub or whatever, and it's really good. And we usually eat it with like dal and rice, or you could eat it just like that. I just remember eating, like, it's like really good. I mean, you just won't give it to your friends because they probably look at you. But I've had friends that tried it coming over. They'd be like, yeah, like, that sounds cool. I'm like, it's offals. And they're like, no, it's cool. Like, we'll try it. And they liked it. So I think it's also like preparation of the meat, because any meat, if it's not prepared, it just tastes really gross.
I think I would give that a try once. I like, especially if I know I'm going somewhere where it's prepared properly, I would give it the try once. I wouldn't shun it. The only thing I think I would shun without ever trying is like eyeballs.
You try penis?
No, I don't think so. If somebody tricked me, I might. Like if it was mixed into a biryani and nobody told me, I might. But I'm pretty astute with that stuff though, because I don't eat peas, and it's one thing I don't like them. They're disgusting. And even if it's mixed into a samosa, I'm very astute at just picking out when I come across them and getting rid of them. I just can't. So
I'm like that with onions. I hear you, girl.
You don't like onions?
I don't like onions
at all.
Maybe in a salad, or maybe like fried onions, like onion rings, or Funyuns, but that's not really onions. But otherwise, no. I even was to the point, like when I was younger, and like someone would make burgers, and if they put the onion on the freaking burger, I'd be like, ugh, I gotta smell this. This is horrible. Now I just I'd pick it up, but I'd get so mad. Like now I just put it up. I'm like, whatever. If I eat one, I won't die. But man, oh man, onions are the worst.
But what if they're mixed into something like in a masala, like in a... Like, can't... Is it the texture that you don't like?
It's the onion itself. Like, if it's onion powder or it's, like, grated... Like, so what my parents do when they make their food, they grate it together with, like, garlic. And garlic is another one, too. I can't bite... Oh, God. Like, just talking about it makes me want to throw up. My dad drinks garlic tea, and I think I would die if they made me drink one. Like, one
garlic tea? I don't know if I've heard of it.
It's such... I don't know if it's, like... West Indians use, like, certain home remedies for everything. My dad feels like garlic tea will cure your, like, insanity or something. Like...
Yeah, I think that's a ginger in our house.
Same
and
in our
so
house.
I can't bite it. Like, there's just certain things. So what they do, they've always, like, buy in bulk at Costco, and they grind it up in, like, a food processor, and with other spices and stuff. And that's, like, their seasoning, right? So you don't actually see the onion or whatever, but you'll know it's there. It gives it the flavor. But, like, the actual onion and crunching, that's just weird.
I think I'm like that with raw tomato. I don't really like raw tomatoes on my sandwiches or in a caprese salad or something. But I like, I like tomato sauce and tomatoes mixed into stuff. But, yeah, I'm with peas, though. I don't want peas in anything. Don't.
Or raisins.
I will pick
because you said in the last podcast you hated raisins.
I like raisins on their own. That's the one time I'm okay with separate but equal.
I don't like raisins at all.
I like them by themselves in their little sun-made box.
They look like little cockroaches to me. I wouldn't.
My pet peeve in cuisine is when they keep the spices and herbs whole. So, and then you have to bite into it, and then you just burn your mouth
What you guys call it? I think it's called. You guys call it lychee or whatever.
Yeah,
cardamom.
The cardamom.
My God, I can't. Oh, it's the worst.
Used to call when we were younger. I mean, I still kind of call it that. But so there's the two kinds of lychee. There's the green one, which is the one that you put in like tea and just about everything. And there's the larger one, which is the black one. And the black one is like much bigger. We always used to call it cockroach lychee because it just looked like a cockroach in your food. And that one, it'll always trick you because when it's in your biryani, you'll be. I don't know how you guys are, but I always eat my meal kind of working towards that perfect last bite. That like the last bite needs to be on point. So I'll work towards it, and then I'll be like, "Oh, there's a small piece of lamb," and I think I'm putting that in my last bite. Nope, it is a giant cockroach lychee, and now my entire meal's been ruined. I just wasted the whole meal.
Well, I'm just glad we don't use star anise too often, because the first time I saw a whole star anise, I'm like, "Holy crap, it's a spider!"
Well, we don't really I don't know, like the cuisines that we have. I don't think they really. I've never seen lychee in our food. I think it's probably grounded up in our masala. And as far as star anise, I think I've only seen it whole in like maybe clove tea. You know, they make like this certain tea, but I've never. We don't make biryani. Like we have pilau and cook up and all that kind of like more of like a jambalaya type of thing. Not thank God, because I've tried some biryani, and maybe I've tried horrible biryani. I don't like it at all. It's like I'm not sure if I'm eating rice or perfume, or I don't know what's going on, but I don't like it. It's not for me.
You need to go to the right place. You need to go to the place where they have a good ratio of meat to rice. Because one of my pets, if it's like 90%, if it's 90% rice and they go cheap on the meat, I get really mad. But they have like a good meat rice ratio. They haven't like when they put too much masala in and that's all you bite down on, it ruins the whole thing. Like maybe
my cousin's friend's mom doesn't know how to cook. Like
that's very possible.
That's very I know. That's like fighting words. I didn't use names. Whatever. But that's who ruined my biryani experience.
They know who they are.
Yeah.
If you go to somewhere where they do the whole nice presentation with the pot that's been sealed with the dough, because the traditional way of doing a proper biryani was having everything kind of half-cooked, like the rice was half-cooked, the meat was half-cooked, and then it was put in this giant pot and covered and sealed with like the same dough that they would use to make chapatis, and put that in the oven and let that bake. So all the steam is in there and all the steam is cooking up everything. If you go to a place that's like that, it's proper.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I haven't had a dum biryani yet. That's what they call it.
Well, next time before I go get biryani, I'm going to consult my biryani expert, Navdeep, and I will send you a picture. I don't know, probably on Instagram, like a direct message, and you're going to let me know if it's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I'm kind of picky with my biryani. Oh, I was going to say, I'm not on Instagram. And is that something I should be on?
I was for like a second until I realized that I don't own what I post. I guess eventually I'm just going to have to, swallow my pride and get one.
Oh, I don't know. I've had one for a long time, and I love it. I don't post pictures. Like, there's probably like 3 pictures of actually me. But I love like posting pictures of like my crafts and my tea, my coffees, and mostly my tea because I'm a tea girl.
Nice.
And my little trinkets and things that I make from polymer and my nail art. And
what do you make from polymer?
I make earrings, anything. I'm trying to make a dragon, but I don't have like a workspace, so like I have to figure out how to do that. That's going to be my summer thing, but I'm definitely going to like probably Instagram the process of it. I guess I would say I put more pictures up on Instagram than I do in Facebook, but Facebook has my actual pictures. But my Instagram is more like, this is my art, this is my crafts. I don't know. This is my 4th footsie pajama set. I don't know, like just stuff that makes me happy.
I can see why it would be useful. Yeah, I used to, when I was younger, I was the one that was on every social media platform. So I was on Friendster and High Five and Orkut and What else was there?
Xanga, MySpace, LiveJournal,
maybe. Yeah, I was on all of those, and then it just got to be too much. So then I very much streamlined it. So now it's Facebook, LinkedIn, and I have I have my own Twitter account, and then I have one for the podcast, and then I end up cross posting anyway. So I don't know the point of having two accounts, but I try to keep my professional lawyer life separate and my other ridiculous life separate.
I don't have anything under my actual name, so that's it. Like, I don't want anyone finding me. I even get weirded out when, like, people you've met, like, from years ago that went to school with you, but you never really had a relationship with them. Like, I mean, like a friendship relationship or whatever. Sure. Or they were just weird to you, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, it's such and such. You know, we used to go to high school together. And I'm like, who is this person?
And then they just want to be Facebook friends.
Right.
For no reason.
Like, and then you're like, you kind of remember them. And you're like, okay, I'll add them or whatever. And then they get all, like, hatery with you. They're like, you didn't change. Your face looks the same. What are you eating? Like, and you see them. They look like, I don't know, like Midwest trash that only eats, like, fried cheese and has, like, 8 kids. And you're like, dude, what happened to you? Like, and we're the same age, obviously. Like, I don't know.
I had my grade school bully send me a Facebook friend request. And it was very odd because there was no message and we were never friends. Like, this person was my bully, and at a certain point it may be lessened to us just not speaking. There was no reason for anybody to ever even think that we might be friendly. And so he sent me a friend request on Facebook with no message. No,
I'm sorry.
Hey, this is so and so. Yeah, I'm sorry for being mean. Or, hey, we're both grown up now. Thought it would be nice to reconnect. Nothing. So I accepted the request just out of pure curiosity to see what would happen, and then nothing. He just wanted to connect over Facebook, and that was it.
I think some people do
and
that.
It was so weird.
To get their numbers up, or I don't know what it is, man.
Oh, certainly.
I guess. Then I deleted him. I deleted him. I was like, there's no reason for us to have any sort of connection. You were never nice to me. Forget about us being, like, cool now. Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah, like, I have stories like that. It's like, I'm looking at them, it's like, nah, I've still got my hair, and I don't want that coming to me now. Like, it doesn't... Like, it doesn't run in the family, but I still don't want to risk it.
Sure. Yeah, I just, I try to, I think except for, like you guys and, that group of people where we may not have all had a chance to meet in person yet, but we chat quite often. We've gotten to know each other better. Except for that, I don't really add people that I don't know, not just know in real life, but, I have to have a reason to want to keep in touch with you over Facebook.
Right. I don't know, like, aside from, like, our Facebook groups and, like, us talking, like, because we actually do Google Chat. Like, I remember you vividly doing Google Chats with us and folding your laundry and cooking and making tea. Because I do the same.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty neat. But I feel like we're just not, like, although we haven't met in person, sometimes I forget, because when we do Google Hangouts, it feels like we're so personal with each other. Like, you'll see some of us laying down in bed, others are making dinner, and, like, you see people's houses, you see them all busted up and bummy. They're not all prettified, like, if they were going out. Everybody's in their freaking,
yeah, we have no shame.
None. And I love it. I love it because I'm always in my like, if it's cold, for a fact I'm in my tiger onesie. Like, there is no shame. None whatsoever. Like, I feel bad for people who come in and they're like, this is going to be like some... And it's funny because we'll have, like, moments we're just talking about, does my butt look big in these, like, tiger pajamas? And then all of a sudden, this whole political, like... This, like, if you're talking to certain people, there's this whole political thing. And then all of a sudden we start talking about pizza, and then people get hungry. Because, we're brown. We always have to talk about food and, like, tea. Then one of us, it's always this. One of us will be like, I'm going to go make tea. And then by the time you come back, everybody's gone to make tea and coffee.
Yep. Oh, that's a really good idea. I should make some tea too. Yeah.
Right.
And then you can all chat having your tea and... No, I don't know what it is. and I'm sure other cultures have this as well, but I feel like South Asians or South Asian related cultures, we enjoy food so much generally that we'll have our lunch, we'll be full from a gigantic lunch, and then start drooling talking about what we're going to have for dinner.
Oh my God. I think that's also one of my best friends, she's Italian, will be having the biggest lunch. I don't even want to think about food. She's like, what do you think we should, do you think we're going to do dinner or you're going to go home before? I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm like,
no,
breathing through this right now.
No, my stomach needs to plan. My stomach needs to know what's coming. I need to know how much to indulge right now so I can indulge more later.
My sister is like that. And I also want to say how amazing she is because during the podcast, she actually made me a cup of tea and walked it in my room and was totally quiet. And I love her because she knows I love her.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, usually because I texted her and she's like, "Are you doing a podcast?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay," because usually she'll come on our Google Hangouts and she'll make noise and because we're all family here. That's why I said I love our Google Hangouts and stuff because everybody's so personal and you're just meeting everyone's family without actually having to go to their house, which is adorable and which is why having social networks sometimes is amazing. You see the amazing side of it. And we're doing all our podcasts on Skype. I mean, how amazing is that? We're in our pajamas and just hanging out. While we were doing the podcast, I did my nails, got some tea, that kind of cool stuff.
Ban the Chai Ninja.
My sister, Kavita, the Chai Ninja. I don't know if it's considered chai because it's Lipton with brown sugar and a little bit of milk. So is that considered chai?
Well, then we'll call it tea.
Yeah, it's tea. I don't know because I feel like chai is
we'll just call it tea.
I feel like chai is for me is all your spices all mixed together and it's boiling and it's simmering for a whole night a big army pot and you take a cup, it's so hot, it's stewing, and then you add a little bit of water again in the morning or whatever and you boil it again and it's so hot that you can't even you take your cup and you just dip it in. And then, you got to be careful. You got to take a towel. It's an art form. You have to take your cup and dip some out and put your tea in and put your milk in and stuff like that. And just wipe it off with a little towel if you know what you're doing right. You know what I mean? But I think tea is just a little tea bag and just hanging out with some.
Yeah.
How do you have your?
Have you guys?
I'm coffee totally. It's I sometimes do tea and sometimes make doodh patti. But most of it, day to day, it's coffee.
What's doodh patti?
Have you guys done milk and tea bag?
Yep, milk and a tea bag.
But these, it means leaf, but it's the word for a tea bag.
So it's cold milk or is it warm milk?
Oh, boiling.
Oh, yeah, because I don't know how you would do it in cold milk, right?
Yeah.
I guess, but I think it would take too long to steep in cold milk.
Yeah, I don't think it would steep at all because tea doesn't usually steep in cold temperature.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
I don't think we're not tea scientists. Is there even a tea scientist? What is?
I'm sure there is.
Well, I know the folks at Tivana seem to fancy themselves.
Oh, please. They're their tea is most of it is all this artificial flavoring. It was so annoying. I've gone there and I was they're telling me about how this is in their tea and that this and whatever. And then when you see it's a freaking petrified piece of apricot. I'm how the fuck is that tea? Really? I'm paying $5? Then fuck you. I'm gonna take my samples, and this is what I do. I go get my sample of that stupid wild berry whatever that I like.
It tastes like fruit punch.
It does, and I take it, and shamelessly I will refill it and leave, and not pay $6 for a goddamn cup of tea.
Absolutely not. Have you guys ever had Kashmiri chai?
I've had variations with the nuts and everything, but I feel I think it's just a Kashmiri catch-all for chai with nuts in it.
I don't know. No, it is, but I've had.
No, but that's the way we seem to think of it. In Pakistan, I can't really say for sure if I've had authentic Kashmiri chai.
Mm. Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, since you're the tea connoisseur, you're the chai connoisseur, considering your podcast is called the Good Chop Podcast. So I'm asking the Good Chop Podcast connoisseur, from what I've had, what I thought was Kashmiri tea is, it's leaves. I don't know what kind of leaves. And when it boils, it's a white tea. And they put heavy milk in it, or even like, or they put the milk in it so it like starts to boil and it kind of like it gets thickened, kind of like a latte a bit. And then it's really thick to me and very strong, and I love it because I love strong beverages. I love strong coffee, strong teas, and things.
Yeah. Well, part of it is that it's heavy and that it's been stewing and that it's rich. But the other part is that it's, so as far as I know, because I'm not Kashmiri, but from my experience with Kashmiri chai and my research on it, because I still haven't successfully made it at home, but the base is supposed to be like proper green tea, and then you add I think it's like baking, I can't remember if it's baking soda or baking powder, but you're adding something, and it basically chemically changes it so it becomes pink the longer you cook it.
Oh, so, yes. Do not laugh at me.
So it's supposed to be pink.
Do not laugh at me. But I've had that. I've had that at Alice's Teacup. The most non-Kashmiri place ever. I've actually
If you're paying more than $1.50 for it, then that's just wrong. You need to go to a dive place where they charge you like $1.50 for it, and that's the place you can bet that it'll probably be most properly made.
Oh yeah, with just a percolator on a table.
Yeah.
That's how it's done.
I'd like to think they percolate their tea. That'd be horrible.
Don't really have the napkin to catch the drips.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how it's done.
And then it's topped with pistachios, and it's such a good winter beverage.
Oh my god! So
because I just
we're gonna have to meet and have tea. Like we're gonna have to go on a tea expedition. Yes. And when I mean that, I mean by you coming to my house and I will show you the tea concoctions we make because my dad and my dad will tell you all his, because my dad loves like entertaining people with his foods and his beverages and stuff like that. He makes this like one of my favorites. So anytime when a relative comes from Guyana, he'll ask, like, if he knows they're coming or visiting or whatever, he'll ask them for this, I don't know, this certain type of tree bark, right? And he'll do his split it open, and he'll boil that with, like, cloves, and I don't know the whole concoction. He won't really give out his secret. I don't know if it's baby tears in them. I don't really know, but I love it. And he boils it, like, overnight, right? And the whole house will smell wonderful. Like I will smell it, my mouth waters. So then he wakes up really early before, because my dad's a sweetheart. He'll wake up really early and boil it before anybody leaves for school or work, and the entire house smells like it again. And so you're kind of like waking up quicker so you can get a cup of tea, and he'll have all our thermos ready. Like he does not believe in plastic.
That's so sweet.
He'll have our thermos ready. And since I bought a clean canteen, he thinks it's like the best invention ever because it actually keeps your things hot all day. Like all day.
Aww.
And so he'll make it. And he usually makes it when we're sick, or like we'll just ask, because he has like, he'll ask anybody who comes, because it's just a little bit of bark you need. And
is it like a relative of cinnamon?
It kind of, I think it might be, speaking with a lot of people, I think it might be, because what I was told is that cinnamon is just the bark, and then they have like the cinnamon meat kind of thing, but it's not cinnamon. I know it's not cinnamon because he puts cinnamon in it. So I know what cinnamon tastes like. I know it's not that. I could differentiate that much. But it's a certain type of tree, and I'm not sure what it is. But he says it's native, to Guyana, and he's not going to find it here because he's tried. Even all the West Indian stores, the Asian stores, everything. I know what it looks like. I could tell you exactly what it looks like, and I could show you which one it is, but I don't know. And I know the smell, but I don't know what it's called. And you'd have to ask him.
Gotcha.
But when you boil it, it's like this pink, like it's like this reddish color, and you put the tea in it and it turns pink. And it's a possibility that it's similar to the Kashmiri tea, because I know that our ancestry comes from all sorts of parts of, Asia, so like there'll be foods that are very customary to like UP and Punjabi, like North Indian. And then there's like super spicy foods, that would probably hurt someone's butthole, but it's amazing to me, and just talking about it makes my mouth water. Which is obviously the South Indians, like, what we call the dark Indians, right? So, because that's my dad. My dad tells us that. He always goes, yes, be proud of your black heritage, because you know how Indians get with the whole light skin, dark skin nonsense. But
well, my dad's side of the family, we've tried to do a good job of like tracing our family history back and our family tree. And one of my cousins traced part of our lineage to Afghanistan. But initially, he was so nervous. He said, "Should I tell our family? Are they going to be mad?" He didn't know. He didn't know if it was. He didn't know if they would get like offended because we originally came from Afghanistan.
Would it have been called Afghanistan back then? Like, I don't know how far.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because we were trying to locate where exactly, and we're not sure. But yeah, people are very funny. When in reality, all of our people have a lot of they migrate. Everybody migrated from somewhere. You go back far enough, we all came from Africa. It's fine. So I don't know why people get really touchy about the possibility of having, dark blood or blood from somewhere else. And no, we're all brown. There's nothing wrong with being brown.
Oh, I'm a proud darky. I met so at my job we have a crossing guard like right in front of this really crazy place in Queens Boulevard. And he's this dark-skinned Indian guy, and, like, he has, like, a thick accent. So a lot of people just assumed he was from India or something. And I was like, I don't think so. Because he looks like a mixed kid. Because mixed kids, we know each other. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'm like, one day I was like, I'm going to ask Uncle where he's from. Because he's not going to get offended, right? Or if there's a possibility he's going to ask me first, right? So this happened in about like probably a week of him seeing me. He's like, oh, just curious where your family from. And, because he was like trying to, distinguish. And he thought I was from where he was from. And he was from Fiji. And I said, no, my parents are from Guyana. I was like, oh, no, similar. He goes, where are you from? And before I said no, before I can even finish my sentence, he says, Guyana, right? I was like, yes. Because he goes, we are all the same. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I know, we all from the same boat, and, like, you just don't speak Hindi. He goes, that how we all like this, like, he was, then, one day, I shit you not, I'm walking to work one day, and it's so frigid, so cold, because, our winter has been pretty bad for the past month. He starts singing this Chutney Cinder Popo song, which is actually a kirtan song that, chutney singers will, sing whatever. Don't ask me to sing it because I'm really horrible at Hindi. I wish you would. Oh my God, no. Maybe off Skype, I'm horrible at singing non-English because I'll probably make up freaking words. I swear to you.
That would be amazing. We'll just call it your own Guyanese dialect.
And he starts singing, and I was just like, whoa, that is so cool. And then I was like, oh, do you know that's a chutney song? He's like, yeah, well, chutney is kirtans. And I'm like, yeah, I know that much, because I did try to kind of understand, like, music and our ancestry and stuff like that. So I thought that was so cool. And when I was younger, I was looking up, like, how our music has traveled, because there's musical instruments that the West Indians use that India doesn't even use anymore. Like, it's obsolete, completely obsolete. Sure. And I think I've also touched on this subject earlier in a podcast that we did earlier about, there's certain like musical instruments. There's this piece of metal that with another accompanied piece of metal, and they just hit it, and it pretty much keeps like the tempo. I would say it would be like the percussion version of the veena, because it definitely keeps a droning sound. And I don't. When speaking with like East Indian friends or people from, when I say East Indian, I mean like people from that part of, India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, because you're of East Asian to me. I mean, you're East Asian, we're West Asian, like West Indian. So, whatever to me. I mean, people will get offended, but dude, you're from the same part. Like you can walk to it. You need to get over it. Anyway, so, they have no idea, but apparently in Fiji they use it too, and like,
oh wow,
and for like there's certain types of songs, because Holi's it passed, but like they do the kirtans and like the songs for that, the chowtals or whatever, and they use it like the cymbals and that. It's very percussion-y. Like West Indian music is very high in percussion, and so when I was tracing that when I was younger, like studying like. Just, you're just studying your roots and things like that. You learn that in Fiji, they do it, Mauritius, certain parts of Africa that the Hindus have settled and the Indian, like, when I say Hindus, like Hindus, Muslims, any kind of Indian have settled. And
we'll call it the double O Hindus.
Right. I've heard that.
The Hindus, yes.
Right. So they've settled, and they still use it because, brown people love to clasp, and when I mean brown people, I mean any kind of brown. Whether you're African brown, whether you're Indian brown, whether you're like you're Hispanic brown, you're brown, right? They cling to their culture so much, just like the Puerto Ricans and like Cuban music. You can very well see how much the Afro-Cuban society has been influenced by drumming and percussion. I don't know if it's just a Caribbean thing or whatever, but that's a side note. But what I was getting at, there's so many things that because our ancestry has branched off, there's a lot of things that we cling to, whether we understand it or not. And then going to India or meeting people from India, they have no idea what you're talking about, but the elders know what you're talking about. They're like, no.
Oh, yeah.
My aunt had married a Punjabi guy. And so, but that's besides the point. But we've had relatives that have married East Indians, right? Okay, it's not even just that example, but we've had relatives who've come over or just friends or family friends or whatever. And they'll come over to, our families, whatever. And they're like, oh, wow, you guys know that song? And they're so intrigued that they heard it. These are elderly people, great grandmas and stuff. And they're like, yeah, we used to sing that song when we were growing up and nobody else knows what they're talking about. They're like, no, we never heard of this. And it's just so weird. It's just how it phases out. And maybe there's so much more to our culture that we don't even know. You know what I mean? Because
there's a lot that's been lost. Yeah. There's a lot that's been lost. And just, I know I've mentioned this on one of my episodes of the podcast, but, I have family who lives in India and has grown up there. And I'll talk to them about Punjabi music from not 100 years ago, but say from the 70s. And they have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm not throwing out deep cuts or anything that is so deep inside or deep underground, mainstream music. They have no idea what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And they don't, and when I play it for them, they don't, oh, where'd you get that from? I'd be from your country, from your home.
Right. I mean, but you can even say that with certain, even Caribbean culture too, because people want to be very American. It's funny because we're seeing because I don't know about you, but I was born and raised here. So if, we want to learn a little bit more of our culture, well, music is one of the that's the first thing, food you have no control over because people need to know that once you're in a brown household, you might live in America, it doesn't matter. When you pass those gates, you're eating brown food, whatever. So food you definitely experience too, right?
Yeah, but music, you will always smell ginger. Yep.
Yeah, music is something that you definitely identify with, and I think when you find all these really cool songs and you're like, oh, this is so cool. And then you ask the kids that are from where your parents are from, who live there, they're like, I don't know what the hell that is. But they'll know, the latest, Beyonce song and stuff. And you're like, what the hell is that? I have no idea. And they're like, oh, it's Beyonce. What are you, special? I don't know. I don't really care about that crap. But it's it's always this, you're not there. So I don't know if it's just, we're much more curious about things that we're not next to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think that we didn't necessarily take it for granted. And it wasn't, I feel like a lot of the folks that live, and I mean, maybe Sharky, you can talk more about Pakistan because I have more experience with India, but my family that lives there, at least in Punjabi is not seen as, it's seen something as very crude. So the cool thing is to speak Hindi, the cool thing is to speak English. So they don't feel a connection to Punjabi music. They don't feel a connection to Punjabi, the language, as much as I do. For me, the music is the way I plug in. The music is the way I learn about the culture, the good and the bad parts. But, that's how I expanded my vocabulary. That's how I learned to speak Punjabi better. They don't care to as much over there.
I think it's the same in Pakistan, too, with Urdu. It's the more prestigious language, and Punjabi is more the vulgar language.
Yeah, more informal. When I worked abroad as a linguist, I would meet Pakistani Urdu linguists, and I knew they spoke Punjabi because I heard them speak Punjabi. But when I would speak to them in Punjabi, they would only respond to me in Urdu. And I would get very confused. And I would ask them, I'd be, oh, uncle, I speak Punjabi because I'm here as a Punjabi linguist. and I know you speak Punjabi because I just heard you speaking it. Why won't you speak to me in Punjabi? And they would get very shy. And I realized after a while that because it's seen as, I don't know, maybe vulgar or more informal, that they didn't know me well enough to speak Punjabi with me. Like, they felt a little too informal or a little too casual speaking Punjabi with me, so they would only speak to me in Urdu.
Yeah, I've seen that self-consciousness. I think with Punjabi, I don't have any direct experience with that specifically, but with other regional languages like Sindhi, I think I've experienced that too.
I think I can kind of, well, I mean, we're West Indian, we speak dialects. It's English, right? But there's patois, right? And I right now sound like a white girl. I mean, like, all of us sound like we're just born and bred Americans, right? No accents, whatever. But even I understand broken English. Like, I can speak broken English. I speak it at home. But it's not something that I would outside of the home, or not
right.
if, in vicinity. Only, I think, because we're brought up to be like, well, people are not going to understand you, or you're seen as a weirdo. I mean, we always have to fight that battle of not having an accent. You know what I mean? Like, it's seen as so prestigious that our families, our first gen, and their kids have no accents. It's always such a amazing thing. You have such a great vernacular, your vocabulary is so high. You know what I mean? And I think you don't even realize, because I don't. And even with other West Indian friends, I just don't. You know what I mean? I don't know.
That you snap in and out of it without noticing?
I do when I'm very comfortable with someone.
Yeah, code switching. You're right.
But I'm not I'm not fluent, in complete fluent broken English, in the sense of all my words. My mom, there's certain words that my mom will say with a West Indian accent. They don't say three, right? They say tree. And I can't say tree for three, the number 3. So I'll say 3 and this and that and just go in and out. But that's just one thing. But for the most part, if I'm at a place, and there's a, this has happened numerous times, and I don't understand why people don't understand Jamaican patois. And you'll be in a store and someone will not understand what the hell this person's saying, although it's English, and you'll speak broken to them in Guyanese broken, so they can understand, or you could just be what this, and then you totally understand each other, although it's different dialects, and it's all English. And it's all broken British English. It's not even American English, you know what I mean?
Right.
I actually had this similar experience once where there was 2 Malaysian students talking amongst themselves. It's oh, hey, what does that mean? I was wait, we're just speaking English. It's Malaysian English, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Total side note, but not really. I love chutney and soca music so much. And I used to obsessively, I don't get the channel here, but when I was living at my parents' house, I used to every Saturday morning purposely wake up at 9 o'clock so I could watch Geeta Bisram.
Oh my God, that's the worst thing ever. I mean, it's the worst thing ever, but it's the only thing we have.
It's delicious. It is delicious.
Okay, everyone we knew growing up was on that show. My sister has been on that show. I will not admit if I was on that show. I'm just saying that everybody
I'm gonna take it to assume that you were on that show and that you did a dance.
No. I was in the background because my sister was dancing.
We used to have, in the 80s, we had ITV, which was basically, I feel, the same thing as, it probably was filmed at the same studio.
It's the same studio. It's in someone's basement. It's
right.
West Indians get no play, man.
I performed on ITV once, and then when I saw West Indian Music TV, I thought, oh my God, we really are connected. This is the exact same show, just but with Indo-Caribbean people. This is amazing.
My mom will religiously watch this since I was a kid. That's why she will not change from Time Warner, because she says if she switches to Time Warner, she won't be able to see the crappy cable access TV shows. Yeah,
Sharky, right? I don't know if you've heard of this show, because it is a local show.
Oh, there's so many of them. So they have
a cable show out of Queens, and it's hosted by the front man, the lead singer of this Caribbean band. So it's partly that she hosts the show and partly that they promote their band as well.
Right, and all the commercials. are local companies, right? And they're all like chutney songs as their theme songs. And there's always like a dental commercial, a real estate commercial. And there's always like, you cannot watch a show as a West Indian kid. You cannot watch a show without naming at least 10 people on the freaking show that you're related to, which is freaking ridiculous. So my dad,
so entertaining.
this is the dynamic. So your mom is watching it and she's cooking, right? And, cooking, your weekend meal or whatever. Like, she's getting prepped for lunch. And so my dad's sitting there. Your dads are always sitting there going, what the hell is this garbage? And, like, constantly yelling about, is this what people think our culture is? No wonder people don't put us on TV. Because look at these retards, right? but you can't help but not love it because a part of me was just like, oh, God. But then a part of me is just like, but we have nothing else. And if they're not doing it, and like, who else will?
And they do it so sincerely. They do it with
But they really do feel like they're, oh, my God. But some of these people, like, they need to relax. They need to get hit with a reality stick. You are not, and if any of you are listening to this, you are not important. The community that thinks that you are important, you should be so nice to them because there's numerous times, right? That because my sister's a dancer, right? So, but she doesn't do chutney dancing. So she's a strict, she used to do Kathak. She's a strict Bharatanatyam dancer. So Bharatanatyam dancers get no play. So my heart is with all the, the strict, and it's because she does Bharatanatyam and because I look super Indian and, they don't think we're West Indian. So they'll start shit talking backstage and then, of course, yes, girl. Yes,
Ew.
Yeah, a bit of humility.
Be humble. Because your shitty ass dancing with your sequins is not fooling anybody. And you can't even shake your ass. Like, oh my God, you think if that's what your one freaking shot is, your one move, you'd at least know how to work it. But honey, it ain't working for you. But that's my rant, and I'm done. Because it's just ridiculous.
Like, we got that kind of humility problem with collegiate Punjabi dancing.
Oh, God, yes.
Now, I wasn't in a college that did that because I was too busy shooting rifle. But I used to hear stories on Facebook, like out in Rice and all the Houston universities about their collegiate scene and all the beef they put up with. I was wondering, it was probably different in New York, or probably worse, I'm guessing.
No, with I went to college when the college Bhangra circuit was starting to get bigger. So before I went to college, there was Bhangra Blowout in DC, and then slowly smaller competitions kind of started cropping up elsewhere. And I think it was right after I graduated college where things kind of started exploding. But when I was in college, it was the people who had grown up doing these dances, the people who had trained doing these dances. I had participated or helped start a Bhangra and Gidda team, but now it's a whole other animal. Now people are very serious about it. They're very intense. The online forums, people do not play. There is a debriefing after every competition. There's a critical analysis of not just the particular performances, but the judging rubric and, how to improve competitions. And did these people, did they use traditional colors as opposed to this? And they'll have very philosophical discussions where, a lot of these people just picked it up in college because it was the cool thing to do. So it's a very weird animal now. I've definitely aged out. I still love dancing. I still love Bhangra and Gidda, but I've definitely aged out of the intense obsession with competing with other people about it.
I think it's like there's room for everybody. Like even if you're a shitty dancer, it's okay if you're nice. You can't be a shitty dancer and have a horrible attitude. Come on, bro.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's like, and the only person you're making a fool of is yourself, because whether you're a great dancer or whatever performer you are, there's no reason to have that attitude. And for you to speak broken English and think that we're non-West Indian, we're not going to understand what you're saying. It's like, thankfully, I don't have an anger management issue. So I just keep it to myself. Most of the time I keep it to myself. But once you say something to my sister, because I'm older sister, of course I'm the pit bull, I will definitely shut it down.
Of course.
But I think
I have an idea.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I
go
think that if we get a chance to do this together again at some point, we should also have Geeta Bisram as a guest. And it would be so awesome. Because she's adorable. She looks so sweet. And she just, she just wants
she's actually one of the few people that I've met in person from just like when my sister performs, and she's actually one of the nicer people. I don't like.
That's awesome.
I don't know how to get.
I thought you were going to say she's like a raging diva.
Oh no, there's a couple of them, but I will not name them because I will not give publicity to negative bitches. But I think there's another show. It's called Let's Talk with Lakshmi. She's also very, very nice and approachable as well. And I remember doing a blog on her when I used to blog for bikeandchoka.com in like years ago, like when it was just starting up and stuff. And she was so nice. Like, and I had only met her once, and like she had apparently read it and she emailed me and she was so grateful for like, and I was just like, and I met her cute. And she like gave me this, like, she was like, oh yeah, you're Pady and blah, blah, blah. And like, she gave me a hug, and like, I don't know if she remembers that, but I remember that. And I think that that's really nice that although that, you know, people will knock, you know, our community public access TV shows, but again, who else will be doing this? Like, we get no play as West Indians. Like, at least East Indian people are seen in the public. Like, you know what I mean? I mean,
right.
There's so many actors now that are like, yeah, I'm this, you know, like whatever. And they're so but like West Indians get no play. And I mean, now they're saying, well, Nicki Minaj is there, or Rihanna or whatever. But man, nobody knows what the hell. You know,
yeah,
like,
do you really want to claim them?
I mean, we got
the same.
But it's just like, I just feel like we just get no play as the Indo-Caribbean, I guess, like, I don't know. I guess because I've never felt claimed anyway, so it doesn't really bother me so much, but it's the sense of, like, what are we really teaching our younger ones? Or, like, it's hard growing up and not really knowing where you actually follow your niche, you know, like, you know what I mean? But I think
the other thing is that you don't necessarily have, you know, we can all complain about the cable access show, but our parents didn't necessarily give us the latitude to go make something better either. Right.
That's another thing too. And like, but they are people that are in our communities that are doing wonderful things. There's a few, like one of my friends who I hope to get on the podcast soon. He is of Trinidadian descent, and he I think he was born here though, and he was a physicist by school trade, like, you know. Academically, he's amazing. And he went back to school to learn, to study film, and he has one of the most amazing short films out called Doubles with Slight Pepper. His name is Ian Harneright, and he's done like the Trinidadian version of Sundance. He's won like all their awards. He tours all over. Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing short film, and I think he should be on the podcast next month because I know he does a lot. Like, he's so busy. And he's so humble, and he's so amazing, and he's so smart, and he's done all these, like, I've gone to one of their, like, I guess their panels or whatever, and they bring up all these, like, amazing issues in our community, and I would definitely touch on that, and, you know, within our community, within West Indian culture, that there isn't, I mean, Indian people on a whole are so creative and so full of art, but we don't really get to show that to the media, you know, especially, like, getting a TV show or whatever. At least like when we were growing up, and even still now, like Indian people, like for us, East Indians still have their channels. Like you have ZTV, you have iTunes,
sure,
whatever. But what does West Indians have? Not
you want them, take them.
But at least you guys have them. Like you guys
have
those channels. You have like Indian soap operas. You have that kind of stuff. When I was growing up, there was Desmond's, right? And you only saw that maybe once in a while, and you couldn't really see it on TV per se. You would have to go to VP Records on Jamaica Avenue to get the VHSs. You know what I mean?
Shout out to VP Records.
Who's still there? They're still there. It's wonderful. And like, just like, I remember my dad going like early Sunday morning when they do their grocery shopping, going to VP Records, getting to Desmond tape, coming home. And that was like our thing. Like, it was just so awesome for us, you know? And like to see that there was like a well-produced West Indian show, and I talked about a lot of different things too. But what do we have right now? And I know, like, in Canada, there's a lot of West Indian actors, but there's, like, not necessarily, like, a West Indian TV show or even a soap opera that I know of. I mean, I think there's one on the African channel called The Kink in My Hair, but it's predominantly a Jamaican one. And I don't think I've ever seen, like, a Guyanese person on the show. But
I think that needs to be your next project.
I don't know, maybe.
Sharky, do they have Pakistani cable access shows where you are?
I don't know. There may be in Houston, but I don't live there. I'd probably have to ask some of my relatives there. I know that we do have radio in Dallas and Houston.
Wow.
But the thing, when I lived in Dallas, there used to be all these kind of stations opening up with Daisy programming, and they always be taken over by the big one in the scene, and usually they'd end up stopping their program in favor of what the big one was doing.
Yeah, we have a couple Daisy radio stations out here, but they're I know, and I'm kind of close with them. They're just mostly streaming on the internet. They're still like a relatively smaller shop, and then there are a couple, but if they had, if any of them had more programming like us, like your podcast or my podcast, or not just auntie uncle stuff, I think that they would have a much wider audience. I think they cater to a very particular demographic. And that works for them, but...
Well, I wasn't in radio, and you did have FCC, you breathe down our necks, so that was probably one challenge.
Sure.
Like, I think, like, now, though, they have, like... Because there's a lot of radio stations, thankfully, they're all streaming that I listen to. Thankfully, they have a good stream. And, like, I listen to, like, a couple of radio stations that are in Trinidad. So, like, Sangeet and, like, Win and stuff. So, Navdeep, I can definitely, if you're not aware, there's a lot of West Indian stations on TuneIn Radio, that app. Oh my God, girl.
I love TuneIn.
So good. And you can hear all the latest... and what's so cool is that all their commercials are all West Indian commercials. Like,
that's so exciting.
It's like, I get it. Like, I know what they're talking about. Like, when my dad... when I listen to, like, East Indian radio stations, it's hard. Because I only speak English. And as much as I tried to learn Hindi, man, it's hard. It's hard work. and then they switch into, like, other stuff. I don't get it, man. And everything's a freaking lightning cream. I don't like those commercials. They're not cool. I am not cool with that. And we've exhausted our discussion on lightning cream with Inia.
I have a couple friends. I have one friend whose younger sister, I caught her with Fair and Lovely in her bathroom. And I just scolded her up and down. I said, listen, you can't be messing with this stuff. She has this beautiful chocolate skin tone. She's trying to use that mess on herself. It got me so mad. And with especially people in India, like my relatives and stuff, they look at me, and I'm not tall and slim, but they're like, oh, at least she's fair-skinned. Like, I have something going for me as far as they're concerned. And I try to tell them, I'm trying to get more tan. I'm not happy with the Casper legs. I'm not happy looking like a ghost. Like, I'm trying to get more tan. You guys want to get fair, cool. I'm trying to sit in the sun. I'm trying to get darker. And they don't get it. They look at me like I'm insane. And, I had one aunt visiting who, she'd come to visit from India, and I had been to the beach a couple of days before. And she looked at me, she said, oh, yeah, you did get darker. I said, yeah. And then the next thing out of her mouth, and she said it in Punjabi, but she was like, don't worry, stay inside a few days, you'll get better.
Oh, my God.
What the
Is it a sickness?
and I said to her, I said to her, well, I'm not ill. And then I explained to her, I said, no, I went to the beach to get darker. And she was very sweet about it. She said, oh, things are just different here. I said, yes, Masi, they are. I'm not ill. I need a tan. I want color in my cheeks. I don't mind looking like a brown person. I know you guys don't like it so much, but I'm cool with it.
Oh my God. I have a relative, and she, being a darker, kid, I'm not like super dark. My dad's just like very dark. My mom is probably lighter than you, right? So what happens to a good strong cup of coffee when you throw milk in it? You have kids like me and my sister. Like a good cup of tea or coffee, right?
That's cute.
So we're still considered dark, right? Because we're brown. We're like mocha little, we're like caramel frappuccino.
Are you like wheatish?
I don't know. Right now we're looking kind of jaundice-ish because there's no sun. But I go outside and we just soak up that sun. It's like you don't even need to be at the beach. Like I could just go outside and frolic around and we just get darker and it's wonderful. It doesn't stay that long because we peel, but it's I love it. So I used to have this. I have this relative that when I was younger, her children are very light skinned, right? Because her husband, my mom, like I said, my mom's side family is very, very light skinned. So for predominantly light skinned. So she would say, you know how like relatives always compare each other's children and that kind of stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so my mom, they would tell my mom, oh, Patty's so, everybody would be like, oh, look at this, this cousin and that. All my younger cousins were all lighter skin, very light skin. Like they could pass for Puerto Rican. You're not even sure what they are, right? Because we all look all mixed. Oh, they're so pretty. They're so this. Oh, Patty's still cute even though she's dark skinned. It's always the although she's dark skinned, although she's dark skinned. And I was just like, that's fine. Like, it never bothered me because I know how stupid they were even when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like, It was just like, what? Like, because they're all airheads and retards. Like, seriously. Like, they can't read a book. Like, I was just like, I'll be the dark-skinned one reading my book in the corner. My little Goosebumps and my Babysitter's Club collection. Leave me the hell alone. But...
Well, I started calling people out on it because...
Oh, but I was little. I was, like, really little. I was, like, in third grade, fourth grade. And I remember, like... even at a wedding, we had went to like another, like a relative, and they were all like fawning how I was in a star because I was a tomboy, like I never wore dresses or anything, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty, you're so gorgeous, look how beautiful you are," and this and that, and then they step in, they go, "But what about my daughters? They're light skinned. They're automatically gonna be pretty." Like,
ew.
And I'm like, "What?" And I just looked at her and I was like, you might be pretty, but y'all don't know how to read a book, like you fucking retard. But even when we got older, right? We gotten older, and so the same relative would be like, well, she can't say nothing to me now because I have a mouth on me, so I don't care about her opinion. I'm just like, shut up. Like she's asked me like, oh, like you're getting older. Do you have kids? I'm like, yeah, I already have 2. She's like, what? I'm like, my master's and my bachelor's, and she shut up real quick. You know what I mean? Right? So she goes, she's like, to my mom, while my mom is there, she goes, oh, Patty's like Priyanka Chopra. But, okay, no offense to Priyanka Chopra. She's a pretty girl and stuff, but we don't look nothing alike. So I would go, why do you think I look like Priyanka Chopra? She's like, oh, because you both are dark-skinned and you have those big black lips. And I was like, what? Like, I went, obviously this woman is insane. Like, and I couldn't help but starting to hysterically laugh. Like, hysterically laugh how ignorant she is. And it's upsetting that it still trickles down to West Indian culture. You know what I mean? You think that in between, because we're all mixed kids, that in between that, like, from the island hopping or whatever, the jumping on the boat, island hopping and all that kind of stuff, and the mixing of the cultures, you would have gotten that out of your system. But man, ignorance is serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the pet peeves I have is when people say looking smart or looking smart. And it's like, I have a master's degree and I don't get chumped by third-party charlatans whose platform is whatever sounds good to the press. And I'm looking at you, Imran Khan. Yeah, Pakistani politician. Yeah. So, I'll just be smart.
Learn all around.
Smart.
Right.
Oh, yeah, or they also use the phrase, he's got a lot of he has a lot of personality. That means... Oh, God. No, yeah, like I don't know about other people, but Punjabis will be like, "Oh yeah, he's a lot of personality." That means he looks good. That's the same way saying somebody looks smart, meaning they look sharp.
Okay, no. In West Indian culture, I don't know how it's with all West Indian culture, but in my family, when somebody goes, "Oh, you should meet such and such. He has such a nice personality," that means that dude is fugly. Like, fugly.
Oh yeah,
He might have a couple of degrees. That means he's fugly. It's like, oh, you might want to meet him place.
Oh, look at this picture. He has so much personality in this picture. I'm like, but you don't even know him. What are you talking about? It took me a long time, even though I grew up with people speaking like this. I didn't get it. I think I purposely didn't get it because I was like, you guys don't make sense.
Yeah.
And I would...
Yeah, it's like, how do you get that? Because light travels faster than sound, so people appear bright till you hear them speak. That's my rule.
Another burn.
Thanks.
Burn.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh man, so many people. So like I've even been in positions where like I've met East Indian people that have said stuff about dark skinned women, right? Sure. And that we're not like or even just being West Indian, because East Indians have this idea that West Indian women are loose and like slutty, and they're the girls that you want to mess around with, but you can't like marry. Or maybe if you marry them, it's okay because they're still brown. You know what I mean? So I've had like people say some weird shit to me you'd be so much more marriageable, like, or whatever word, like for marriageable, like married up or whatever, if you were light skinned. As if I want you.
Oh, I have it if I lost weight. Yeah, I had it she's so pretty, but I have somebody I want to hook her up with, but there's no point until she loses weight, right?
Oh my god, that's horrible.
I get that pressure, and it's not as bad as probably as the women get, but I still feel it.
Aww.
Or if you'd be a little bit more quiet, like girls get, if you weren't so, because I curse like a sailor, right? If you were a little less ladylike. What the fuck is ladylike?
Right. Or if you were more adaptable. Well,
right.
I used to hear my people talk about, the reason that there's a right time, quote unquote, to get married. That's when you're younger, is because at that time, not men, but women, they're more adaptable, and when they get older, they get a little too set in their ways, and it's hard to find somebody.
We're like puppies. Like if you get too old, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, if I have too many preferences, it'll just be hard to find somebody to satisfy them. Like,
right. I don't know if you've seen that video where the guy he asked for his perfect bride.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so what can you provide? Oh, just myself. What else?
Right! Oh, yes! He has this long list of this. She needs to cook this. She needs to know this. She has to give me, like, all kinds of crazy stuff. So then the person asks, you're right. The person asks, so what are you going to offer her? And he goes, myself. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. And he's not even like, I don't know where this guy gets this confidence from. Like, where? You have nothing to offer. You're like, you're a complete ignoramus, and like you're gonna think you're gonna get the most amazing woman with your nonsense.
Well, it's those particular South Asian men, and not all South Asian men are raised this way, but it's those particular South Asian men that are raised as their mom's princes. And of course, my ladla beta of course you deserve everything in the world. Oh yes, and a lot of that I think stems from that mentality of, well, we're the in Hindi and Punjabi they say the ladke wale, or the munde wale. Like, yeah, the guy side can have certain expectations because they're dudes. Of course, they're offering you their maleness, and that you should be grateful for. Like, obviously, you have to give a dowry, and you are a useless woman, and we're giving you shelter. So thank me. Apply for my love.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross. So gross.
Present company excluded, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll cop to that.
I mean, you're outnumbered, Sharky.
Right.
Yeah. Are you your mom's prince?
Have been, yes. I guess I resemble that remark.
Oh, that's sweet. My dear prince, he can have anything he wants. Any wretched woman must, satisfy the mom. And
yeah, it sucks.
So, how does it work with my dad? He got 2 girls and no sons.
Oh, crap.
Life is hard.
His lineage. Oh, my God.
I have an aunt, my dad's cousin. They've got 3 daughters, 3 beautiful. Like, when I mean, obviously I'm related to them, so I'm biased, but beautiful, smart, nice personalities, just kind people. And there will still be people who, and now now the girls are older, and there'll still be people who'll be like, well, don't you wish you had a boy too? Don't you wish, your family was complete?
Oh, people tell that to my dad constantly, and they're like, yeah, I do, Patty. And I'm like...
Yeah, I don't get that. I think it's all like wrapped up in that feudal system, and it's like it doesn't apply nowadays. Like, who here has, a piece of land or 1,000 cattle?
Yeah, but I think it's also based...
DNA.
Right. It's also based on your parents. I'm sorry?
No, I was saying that we can affirm lineage now with DNA. We don't have to just worry about... being able to confirm that the woman has only been with this particular man, so we can make sure that the heir is legitimate.
Right. Yeah, like I've got that because both sides of my family are Sayyid, and which is basically descended from the Prophet Muhammad. And actually, a couple of years ago, my brother did the 23andMe and found out that we're probably descended from South Asia on one end and Central Asia on the other. So it's like closer to like Tuva or Siberia. Ooh. So it's like it's very unlikely that I'm descended from the Prophet Muhammad. But I think it's just that story our family has told each other.
Not as fancy anymore.
Yeah, not as fancy. But yeah, of course, we're trying to keep it on down low. I've only told like a few people that would understand. Like the more tolerant and liberal.
On the other hand, and when people see my actual last name, which is not Cakes.
Oh yeah. Like
it's not.
Same with my name. Like that's
it's not Cakes.
It's pretty much a signifier. Like I used to work at a retail with a lot of brown clientele, and based off my name tag, they assumed I was from a certain place, a certain city.
Does that mean? So I've gotten people see my last name, and they think that I'm rich because they're people that are South Indian that are very rich, and I go, no, I'm the broke one. Or I'll make up some shit. I'd be like, because East Indian people are very forceful, right? So I'd be like, no, I'm the illegitimate children. We just kept the last name, but no, my mom's a prostitute. Like,
yeah, I'm sort of wishing that there would be like the kind of that Game of Thrones convention where you have like snow or sand.
Yes. I've gotten a lot of discounts because, like, when you like go to a restaurant or something and you throw down your credit card or your debit card, whatever, and they'll see your last name and they're like, "Oh no!" And the whole conversation changes. You get like free samosas and like they're giving you like curries and stuff, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a total fat kid. I'm definitely going to take free food." That's besides the point. But you can tell me
free
all this.
Samosas are always good.
Right, you could tell me whatever you want as long as I'm getting free mango lassi. I don't care. Like, tell me whatever my ancestry is. It doesn't matter because at this point we're broke. Okay, so it didn't trickle the fuck down. But it's nice to. Who cares? And if your lineage is rich, and for me this applies to even people who are trustafarians. Yes, it's a word. It's trust fund kids with dreadlocks. That live in Williamsburg, right? That pay $18 for fucking lattes. Anyway, but that's just a side note, right? We have to have like a fucking like a glossary of like certain words in our vernacular. Anyway,
oh, absolutely.
So like. Even, like, trust fund kids, that's not your money. That's your parents' money. Where the fuck do you think that you can just, like, throw around money that you didn't even make? It's not yours. Like, you can't say you're rich. Like, if your parents cut you off, guess what, honey? You're broke. You're broke.
Remember the Cosby episode where Vanessa's complaining that she's getting beat up in school because she's rich. And her parents let her know, you're not rich. You're broke. We're rich.
But they weren't really rich per se. I mean, like
they were broke and rich. Like they were a doctor and a lawyer, and they were fairly well settled. And if you can have that brownstone with that many kids,
right,
you're doing pretty well.
I think they had to be rich, but like having so many kids, you have to feed a lot of mouths. So it's not like you could really save up for stuff.
Right.
Like they were wealthy, but I wouldn't say they were rich. Like, I think that we're all wealthy because we're knowledgeable, we have good families, and we have first world amenities, and, we could do a podcast and sit here and shit talk, and, like,
yes,
that's wonderful, and we're wealthy, but we're not rich. By far, like, I can't just walk out and go, hey, I need a new, like, Canon, Mark III with, like, all the lenses and fixins. Oh, God, I could only wish. I don't even think I could save that up in right now, especially with, Sally Mae kicking my ass at the moment.
Boy.
Right?
Sally Mae. Damn.
I know. I wish I could tell that bitch to get off my back, but what are you going to do? And if the possibility of a person that's non the United States listening to this, Sally Mae is not a person, because if I found her, I'd beat her in the street. I'm pretty sure all of us would. She's run her pockets.
Not my friend.
No, she's not a person. It is the school loans that you borrow from, and you have high interest rates. They con you into this because you don't know as a child. Yes, you were a child when you're entering college. You don't know. So you sign away your blood and your kidneys to Sally Mae and her foundation. And you get your education. And what they don't tell you is how hard it is to get a job in this economy in your field, in your freaking field. And you have a mortgage to pay, but it's not for a house, honey. It's for Sally Mae, and her interest rates are going up as we speak. It's ridiculous. But we don't want to be depressing, because we've been talking about some really good stuff.
I'm going to start crying if you talk more about Sally Mae.
I know. I think just talking about it, all our moods just changed. But anyway, I've had so much fun.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
I can't believe we just hit 2 hours. This is ridiculous.
Well, actually, I'm recording it. We're at 1 hour 45. Or 48.
It's still very impressive.
Almost 2 hours. This is
especially considering that we haven't met in real life, like in person.
Right.
This is awesome.
But I talk to Sharky like at least 3 times a week.
Oh hell yeah!
And so, like, I'm definitely gonna keep in contact with you. And I know I spoke to you about this earlier. I was just wondering if you could probably close out our podcast with a little bit of your singing, Nefty, because that would be
that's so cute. I guess, Auntie.
Yay!
But is there a particular language or a particular?
I don't know. Do a remix.
Top 40.
Do a remix. Like
Ariana Grande.
And if I know the song with my horrible blotched Hindi, I might sing on, or maybe like clap. I'll like clap maybe on time for you. And if you want, you can sing your favorite chutney song. That would be great.
Oh, my favorite chutney song. No, see, the problem is with chutney music, I will never sound like I sing properly. I'll ruin it. Because then, then I'm finally just that.
That's a chutney.
Just imagine we're on a PA.
No, because you know what? My favorite chutney song, I think I like ironically, but it's Kanchan and Babla.
It's Babla and Kanchan. It's backwards.
Yeah,
sorry.
Well,
who are actually from India. Who are actually from India that made it famous, that became famous in the West Indies, because India didn't think that she was a good singer. Apparently.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing. Like some chutney singers, I can't take their voices, but then I have the same love for them because there is a sector. There's a section of Punjabi music which I particularly dub truck driver music, and I think other people who know this type of music will know what I'm talking about. But so with truck driver music, the men who sang in it actually had like pretty nice voices, but the women who sang it had similar voices to a lot of chutney female singers.
Do they have the nasally like voice? Because that's what they do in chutney as well.
So that's why when I hear those voices, it doesn't hurt my ears. I just feel like a different connection to it. So my favorite Kanchan, and I'll say Kanchan Babla. I don't care about Kanchan. My favorite song of theirs is Lego Mina Raja. I love that song. But I won't sing that one because it's terrible. No. I'm trying to think. No, I can't. It'll be really embarrassing.
Oh.
Let's see. I'll just sing one that my band and I do a lot of times, so it's easier to sing. But it's a Qawwali one, so I'll just do a little bit.
All right.
नित खैर मंगा सोनिया मैं तेरी दुआ ना कोई होर मंगदी दुआ ना कोई होर मंगदी तेरे पैरां च अखीर होवे मेरी तेरे पैरां च अखीर होवे मेरी दुआ ना कोई होर मंगदी दुआ ना कोई होर मंगदी नित खैर मंगा सोनिया मैं तेरी दुआ ना कोई होर मंगदी.
Oh my god, that was beautiful.
Thanks guys, this is so nice.
All right.
What's your band's name? I just want like our crowds to know.
Yeah, I did never promote them enough. My band is Pasadeo, Pasadeo. The story behind the name is a really long, convoluted inside joke. But we're on YouTube. You can find us there. And then, what are your Twitter handles? That because I'll promote mine as well. But what are your Twitter handles?
I don't have a band, but
No, but you're out. So the podcast, because if we're all putting it on our accounts, then all of our audiences can,
I think we have one officially for ALTbrown podcast at it's at ALTbrown.
ALTbrowncast.
Oh, Alt podcast.
ALTbrowncast.
Okay, it's at ALTbrowncast.
Yes.
And mine is at Good Chaw Podcast.
All right.
So then we can all promote and advertise and give each other shout outs.
Oh, I constantly will. So I do. So I have my own personal, like we constantly promote from that too, because I use my personal Twitter handle to promote, and it's at Patty Cakes with a D, so it's PADY Cakes CAKES.
And that's your official last name. That's not your real life. You don't come from the cake family.
But I eat a lot of cake, so it's okay. I don't come from the cake family, but I don't really know if there's anyone with the last name of Cakes. That would be rad.
Strawberry shortcake?
Oh, dang.
Oh my God, Sharky, this is why you are my this is why we are together in the ALTbrown podcast. We just finished my cake sentences. And also I'm currently doing a Blessed Brown blogger. It's a Tumblr podcast, and I'll definitely be reblogging your information there as well. And I'm promoting
stuff as well.
I promote all types of brown art. If you're interested, you could shoot me a message at blessedbrownblogger@gmail.com, or you can just go to the Tumblr and submit your artwork there, and I'm definitely going to get back to you.
Yay. And Sharky, do you have any Twitter or other things to promote?
My personal Twitter is at SYARRIZVI.
SYARRIZVI?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to have to write that down.
All right, then.
But that's awesome. Yeah, guys, this was so much fun.
Yeah,
and
it was.
So much fun.
I don't know how 2 hours passed by, so we have to do this again.
Of course,
sure.
And next time we'll probably do some chutney singing together. We'll do a duet. You can be Bubla and I can be Kanchan. Actually, I'll be Bubla, you Kanchan.
We actually got a singer, so we could probably do that all.
And then we'll step Trama on, and she can judge us.
Yeah,
Nice.
And maybe you can bring in Pasadeo on, and we can talk music, and maybe have more.
Yeah.
We could just have one musical podcast. It would be amazing. So, yeah. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
I love this too. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
And that was Deepa of the Good Chop Podcast and the band Pasadeo. For more AltBrown, you can visit us on altbrown.tumblr.com, Facebook /AltBrownCast, or on Twitter @AltBrownCast. Thanks for listening.